I feel like I saw this projected on 100 mock drafts. So now the Raiders are on the clock, and this is where we start. We haven't said the name Ashton Jeanty. Like, I feel like we've already violated our contracts by not saying Shedeur Sanders enough.
Yeah.
By the way.
We're all getting a paid decrease.
Yeah, so just for click purposes, Shedeur. Let's see if the algorithm picks it up.
Cowboys?
But Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty.
Jets are coming up soon.
But the pick is in. So any speculation that there would be a trade, that the Raiders were going to move down, the pick is in. Gentlemen, I don't know what it's going to be.
I know Jeanty has been long rumored, but also beef has been recently rumored too.
I think
Membo or Banks, and those are the two that have been
Banks,
rumored. Calvin Banks from Texas. So.
I tweeted out earlier today, my prediction is that it is an offensive lineman. And
yeah,
we'll
I do too. Oh, no, there he is,
not.
Jeanty.
Oh, it's Ashton Jeanty. Okay, so allow me, please, gentlemen.
Yeah,
here we go.
Have the floor.
I have spent so much of my career watching my beloved Raiders suck at the draft. I've spent so much of my life. I remember the house I was sitting in and the mockery I got from my friends during a draft party when Darius Haywood-Bay was the pick. I remember Jamarcus Russell. I remember sitting there with Sebastian Janikowski trying to convince people that spending the 17th overall draft pick on a kicker made sense. Like, this is my whole life. So last year, we were sitting in these seats when Brock Bowers was selected. And I had Raiders fans in my mentions telling me that it was a stupid pick because they already had a tight end. All Brock Bowers did was go off for an incredible year to show that he is going to be one of the best players in the NFL for the next 10 years, barring injury, right? So I screamed after we left that, hey, best player available works. I just have to remind everybody, the Raiders have been bad for so long that they need talent everywhere. And at some point, you just have to help a team that needs help in a bunch of places. So to me, what the Raiders just did is they helped Geno Smith. The Raiders just helped Brock Bowers. The Raiders helped Pete Carroll. The Raiders helped Chip Kelly. They help everybody by going out and clearly getting the one person I think in this draft that you can look at and say, I need an offensive weapon. I have no question marks about Ashton Jeanty. This is a home run pick for the Raiders simply because you need talent everywhere, and he's a game wrecker.
That's it. If you're giving a guy 20 touches a game, let's make sure they're good. Let's make sure they're good touches. This was the worst run game in the NFL last year, and I want to say bottom 3 the year before that, statistically and eye test. I don't think you even had to look at a stat to see how bad it was. That's why maybe the offensive line maybe was the direction they go. But this is a regime now. Remember, Chip Kelly's offensive coordinator. When Chip Kelly was a head coach, he signed Ryan Matthews and DeMarco Murray in the same offseason, okay, for a whole lot of money, okay? Then you got a head coach, Pete Carroll, who drafted Penny in the first round. Couldn't stop drafting running backs, to be honest. They're not going to let a running back go. I know there's a lot of chefs in the kitchen there in Las Vegas, but it's like those guys love their running backs, and I think this math adds up for them because they're just going to give it to valuable touches.
Yeah, you mentioned there's a lot of chefs. Pete Carroll, we don't know John Spytek, the new GM. We don't know who has to say in all these. Tom Brady, and so I would say this loudly. If the Raiders organizationally believed in any of these quarterbacks, they could have gotten aggressive. They could have tried to trade up. They could have traded down for Jackson Dart or Shedeur. There were a million things they could do. I think this is CMAC proof of two things. One, they understand that with this offense they need to run the ball. And two, they understand that the reason they signed Geno to the contract they did is the quarterback is just, the right now quarterback is not there. They might take one tomorrow or later tonight. We'll see. But I think this is a smart, calculated move for a team that hasn't made a lot of smart, calculated moves in the draft in the last 30 years.
This pick is more defensible because you have Geno Smith on the roster, right? I still would have gone tackle here because the way that I look at it is if the Raiders, for the majority of last season, they had, no hyperbole, one of the worst rushing games in the history of the NFL.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't know that any one running back can fix it. I will say, if there is any running back in this class that has a chance to fix it on his own, Jeanty is probably that guy because of his ability to break tackles and be his own generator of offense. But I still look at this and say, yeah, you got the quarterback, you got the running back, Brock Bowers is a beast, but the meat of the offense, still a little bit of room to be, to grow here.
What's the fantasy implication for Ashton Jeanty now?
I mean, we've talked about it. It's Chip Kelly's offense. They run the hell out of the ball. In terms of the 4 years he was the head coach in the NFL, they were 1st, 9th, 14th, and 4th in rushing yards. Like 3 years, they were one of the better running teams in the NFL. That's going to be the basis of what they are here in Las Vegas. He is the centerpiece of that. Because not only were they the worst rushing game last year, it's not like they added some veteran this offseason that like, okay, we can get away with him as a starter. They added Raheem Mostert, who broke down last year with the Miami Dolphins. If you just look at like consensus fantasy rankings right now at the running back position, it goes Saquon Barkley, it goes Bijan Robinson, it goes Jahmyr Gibbs, Derrick Henry. The fifth guy right now is like Devon Achane. Like, I'm ready to start that conversation at 5 with Ashton Jeanty. And I know there's a segment of people who's like, well, he never played it down in the NFL. Well, you never played it down in the NFL until you haven't. And he's going to come in here and play a lot of downs as a rookie. So this is a guy that's going to touch the ball a lot. I think this offense will be pretty good because they have a veteran quarterback. Right. They have a difference maker in Brock Bowers. While they could use some help on the offensive line, it's not a hopeless unit there. Again, I'm ready to start the conversation from a fantasy standpoint at the 5th overall running back spot.
I also have to point this out. I watched a few years ago Josh Jacobs lead the NFL in rushing. Max Crosby put up one of the biggest seasons we've ever seen, and Devontae Adams go for over 1,000 yards. That version of the Raiders won 6 games.
Yeah.
What we have to understand is that no one player saves a team that's bad. It is going to take full roster construction of 53. And acknowledging that I don't think the Raiders were going to do anything in the next 3 days that suddenly took them, even as a fan, to the elite stat. Like, we know that's not going to happen. You got to do it in steps. So if I know that it's going to take me a couple of steps and it's going to take me 2 or 3 off seasons to get where I really want to be, I understand that the argument is, well, why take a running back if you're not ready to capitalize on him now? But man, you're trying to turn around a whole culture. You're trying to do things right as an organization, as an entire culture. You have to start somewhere with dynamic playmakers, understanding that I don't think that this suddenly changes what Vegas thinks the Raiders are going to do from a win total perspective, but I also think you have to acknowledge that building blocks. You just got a really good building block. There's a ton of work left to be done, but it's a building block.
And also, Pete Carroll is, 72 on a 3-year contract?
Yeah.
Geno Smith is 35, okay? They're maybe not winning this year, but this is a 3-year window. Okay, that's how they're viewing it. I mean, the guys that are in charge, the guys that are the key figures there. So I'm saying taking a running back early in the long term.
Pete Carroll will be 74.
74.
They just told me
He looks
in my
great,
ear.
by the way, for 74.
I was just informed of backstabbing on this very show. Somebody has given the Raiders a C- for this. A C- for the fans. 82% of the fans think fire. Somebody sitting right next to me had the unmitigated gall to give this pick a C-. Touché, sir.
I just said this is not the pick. That's fine. Turn your back to me. Just like Ashton Jeanty will when he's averaging 3.2 yards per carry this year behind Taylor.
Oh my God.
Hey, if it's gonna make you feel better, you know Chip Kelly will give them the ball 400 times to get to 1,000 yards.
You know what? You know what's going to make me feel better? When I get to grade the Falcons pick coming up. That's going to make me feel
if
better.
you thinking what's gonna be easy on the Falcons, you were sitting in the wrong chair, my friend.
I am
Auto F.
to my core. My own teammate has done this to me.
Oh, man. No, also the thing, too, talking about teammate, what's tied into football. Jeanty is supposed to be a phenomenal teammate. You talked about the culture stuff. Everything the Raiders have done in the past 9 months, year, has been like, okay, let's refresh this whole thing.
Yes.
Let's refresh everything. They added new owners. Not just Tom Brady, but other owners as well. Influx of cash. They've went and splurged on Chip Kelly, which was out of nowhere for a big amount of money, $6 million a year. When OC money gets reported, you know it's big. Yeah. And so when Chip Kelly gets that, they're trying to say like, hey, we're like professional now. And I think Jeanty is a part of that because that's the type of player he is.
The Jets pick is in. I'm still going to plan my revenge for a grade. Somebody in the Yahoo site